All right, let's dive in. Today, we're jumping into the wild and, let's be honest, kind of chaotic world of creative marketing. We're going to figure out what makes selling a song or a painting so completely different from selling, well, pretty much anything else.
I mean, really think about that for a second. With a smartphone, right, you can list off the specs. Battery life, screen resolution, processing speed, it's all there in black and white. But how on earth do you quantify the value of a movie before you've even seen it? That single question, it's at the very heart of everything we're about to unpack.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the absolute basics of marketing, then we'll get into what value actually means. After that, we'll pinpoint the exact twist that makes creative industries so unique. From there, we'll look at the crazy challenges this creates, and finally, why all of this matters more than ever in the world we live in today.
Okay, let's start at square one. All marketing, I don't care what industry you're in, it all revolves around one single powerful concept: value. It's the engine that drives every single decision.
And this definition is absolutely key. See, marketing isn't just about shouting messages at people. It's a two-way street. A company creates something that you, the customer, find valuable. And in return, you give value back. Usually that's money, but it can also be your loyalty or just your attention. It's a trade. So that brings us to the big question. Value sounds like this fuzzy, abstract idea, right? But in the world of marketing, it's something we can actually break down and get our heads around. And the most important word on this slide is perceived. Value isn't some objective fact written in stone. It's a calculation that happens inside each of our heads. It's basically a trade-off, a little mental balance sheet of pros and cons. And it's pretty easy to picture. On one side of the scale, you've got everything you get. The quality, the cool features, how much you just plain like it. And on the other side, you've got everything you give. And that's not just money, but also your time and your effort. A product has high perceived value when the gets column feels a whole lot heavier than the gives column. But here's where it gets really interesting. The reason we value something isn't always the same. Turns out there are different kinds of value that are pulling the strings behind our choices. So a hammer has functional value. It does a job, simple as that. A fancy watch might have social value. It tells people something about you. A really powerful film delivers emotional value. A documentary gives you epistemic value because you learn something new. And an umbrella? That only has conditional value when it starts to rain. Most products are a mix, but creative stuff, it leans heavily on a few of these. All right, we've got the basics down. We understand marketing is value, and we know what value is. So now let's get to the main event. What is the one thing that splits the creative industries off from everyone else? This is it. This is the absolute core of the whole thing. For a car company, creativity is an input. It's a tool they use to design a better engine or a cooler-looking car. But for a film studio, creativity is the output, the movie itself, the song, the painting. That is the final product. The value for you is the creativity. You know, it's funny, we haven't always thought about creativity as an economic engine. For a long time, the arts were seen as something that needed to be funded by the government. Then, in the 60s, you get the rise of these commercial cultural industries. But it wasn't until the 90s that the term creative industries was officially born, formally recognizing that, hey, all this creative stuff is a massive economic driver. So this one little difference, creativity being the output, it just unleashes this massive ripple effect. It creates a whole set of bizarre and fascinating marketing challenges that you just don't find anywhere else. So first up, you've got the problem of taste. With a phone, we can all agree that one has a longer battery life. We call that vertical differentiation. There's an objective better. But with creative products, it's all horizontal. Is this photo better than that one? Who knows? It's completely subjective. It just depends on what you like. How in the world do you market that? And that leads to another problem. These are experience products. You can't possibly know if you'll love a movie until you've actually watched it. So marketing has to get clever. It relies on giving you quality cues to lower your risk. Things like movie trailers, critic reviews, the reputation of the director. It's all designed to give you the confidence to take a chance on it. Okay, take a good look at this number. Any ideas what this is? This isn't the population of a city. This is the number of new books published in the United States in a single year, 2010. Just 1 year. And that number perfectly illustrates the next huge challenge: infinite varieties. The sheer volume of content out there is just mind-boggling. This creates insane levels of competition and makes it almost impossible for you, the consumer, to decide. How does your one book or your one song stand out in a sea of hundreds of thousands of others? Well, because of all these challenges, the creative industries run on what's called a blockbuster model. The brutal truth is that the vast majority of creative products will fail to make money. But the insane astronomical success of a tiny handful of hits, the blockbusters, pays for all the failures and then some. It's basically a high-risk, high-reward numbers game.
And really, when you boil it all down, it comes back to why we even consume this stuff in the first place. It's not for practical, utilitarian reasons. We're looking for hedonic value, just pure pleasure. We want experiential value, the joy of the process itself. And we're seeking symbolic value, what our taste in music, movies, and art says about who we are as people.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. It's a weird corner of the marketing world for sure, but why is understanding it so critical? Right here, right now. Well, there are three massive trends at play. First, we're shifting to an intangible economy where ideas are worth more than factories. Second, our daily lives have become aesthetic projects. Think about how we curate our social media feeds. And third, the digital revolution completely blew up the old model by separating the content from the physical object, changing everything. And here's the real kicker. The rules that once only applied to this strange little creative world, they're quickly becoming the rules for everyone. These ideas, marketing based on taste, building a reputation, creating an experience, and trying to stand out in an impossibly crowded field, that doesn't just describe Hollywood anymore. That describes modern branding, social media, and the entire creator economy. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. When a car company isn't just selling a car, but a story, and a coffee shop isn't just selling coffee, but an entire aesthetic experience, are we hitting a point where every industry is, in its own way, becoming a creative industry?